This way I can send it to you.
That's perfect.
And just so you know, if you haven't noticed, I do have 2 apprentices. They're just silently listening, if that's okay with you.
Perfect. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, awesome. Okay, all right. So, hello, I'm Jen. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
Yeah, so I read a little bit about Toto, but tell me, is there anything else that you wanted to add to that or update? Like, I'm not too sure. I don't think he's bitten, right? There's no bites.
No puncture bites,
Okay.
but he's biting.
Okay.
So we have every time I take him out now, it's 100% cage muzzle. I will not take him out because he jumps up on me, and I mean I'm 5 foot, and so he's as tall as me now, and he's trying to bite me, and he'll bite my arm. So and he won't let go. So again, it's been the winter time. We have jackets on, but there would for sure be marks if it was the summertime, let's say. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So not medical attention, no, but it's progressing. It's
not comfortable for sure. That's not
No.
comfortable for you or for him, because obviously there's a reason that he's doing that, right? Okay. So I read his history, what I got from you. Tell me a little bit about, because I know you're working with another trainer, so if you don't mind telling me a little bit about what you're doing with that trainer. I saw you did some Find It, I think, some scavenging kind of games from the little clip that I saw.
Yeah, so we had a trainer through, it's called Absolute Dogs, and so they do games-based training, concept training.
I'm familiar with Absolute Dogs.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, perfect. Okay, so we, my mother up north, a bit of background, my mother up north, I brought home a dog from a reserve, and it was, basically part wolf. Anyways, they got in this trainer, and they introduced us to Absolute Dogs, and the dog's now too completely turned around, right? So that was our introduction to that, and I saw the value in positive based training. So we looked into Absolute Dogs. We were recommended this trainer from my mother's trainer, who's, they're pro dog trainers. So she's in Hamilton. And so she came out and she saw Toto 2 or 3 times. But again, I mentioned it was a lot of talking and discussion, which absolutely I understand. But there wasn't so much, when Toto was there, he was always in an aroused state. So there was no way she could work with him. But that's the point, is that he's always in an aroused state. So what are we supposed to do every single moment of our life? So she had us really focus on calm, because that's the basis of everything. And so then by the ending, the last month in October, Michael referred to it in the notes as Hell Week, where he was just completely, every single night we were up 2 or 3 times with him, constantly barking, biting, everything. So she said, clearly his bucket is overflowing, so you can't do anything basically with him. He needs to be calm. So the licky mats, the Kong, put him in the crate for 2 to 3 hours at a time, just to kind of bring him down, reset his system. And then we noticed he would be really aroused when he went outside in the backyard. So again, it was no running with him, no catch with him, just go out, go potty with him and bring him back. Well, the issue is he'll bark at the door. So you think, okay, he has to go out, we'll take him out. And then, he starts jumping and biting me because he wants to stay outside more. But it's like, okay, go to the washroom. So we'll take him out 3 or 4 times. He won't go to the washroom. And then, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. But a lot of it was calm focus, and again, doing a bit of games. So we would do games like cat and mouse. So I would, put food on the ground, cover it. And then when he did a behavior I want, so now we get him to look at us, then I give him a kibble, and then kind of reset it. And then, again, cover it. But if you try at the beginning, they're trying to go for the food, right? So now it's bringing him back and calming him. We'll do one like airplane. He'll sit down, and then put the food in front of him. And then if he lunges, it's no, reset again. And then when I can bring it up and he doesn't react, then I give him the food. So just really calm games like that we would do. And then again, give him one of these little games where he has to, move the toy to get his food, just to kind of mentally stimulate him. So we do believe in the importance of mentally stimulation. However, I think that's probably lacking, because we can't, and I don't know what else to do with him. So that's really been consistent. Any consistent training that we've been giving him, that was really it. So it's really based in calm, and I don't know. I think he's a lot better than when we got him 4 months ago in terms of even being able to bring himself down. But I think that's it. He's not able to regulate himself and bring himself down from this over aroused state. But I'm struggling with, I feel like we haven't been doing a lot of training with him, but when I speak to the trainer, she says, well, that's the point, right? Is to bring him down to a calm state. And once he kind of gets here, this equilibrium, then you kind of build up from there. And so it's okay that you're not doing much. And I'm afraid that that's kind of working the opposite way now.
Okay. So, I mean, there are some points that I agree with there, but at the same time, in order for him to find equilibrium, he does have to have outlets. He has to burn that energy. He has to burn more mental energy, and he has to burn the physical energy. We've got to find a way that he can outlet that in order for him to find the balance. So I agree. I definitely like calming exercises are really important. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Karen Overall's relaxation protocol. Has that sound familiar to you at all? Okay, so that's a calm exercise that we'll work on together. We have our own version that we call On Your Place, but it's essentially the same thing. So I can send you that information, but we'll go through it together today, because that's going to be a critical one as far as him being able to find balance. So there's setting up concentration or focus games, such as you can't have the treat until you settle down kind of thing. But we also need him to learn how to calm himself, not just choose not to escalate, but to actually physically calm himself. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Choosing not to escalate because you know that you won't get the toy or the food because you escalated is very different to finding calm regardless of the food or the toy.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're going to work on that, but and I definitely agree with the Kong and the licking mat. Those are all wonderful things because licking biologically is calming. Sorting and working at puzzles is biologically calming. But we need him to do a little bit more. Yeah. So I want to be able to find that balance for him so that he can utilize his brain energy, utilize his physical energy in a way that he doesn't escalate. So we still have to maintain that he's not allowed to escalate. The games and such can and will end if he does, but we can set things up, hopefully, we can set things up so that he is able to follow through with a simple task that burns brain energy without escalating. In fact, the idea would be that we find games and things that last long enough that actually mellow his brain out a little bit, that he can find rest. And that's how we'll be able to teach him to regulate his own emotions. Being able to find that calm, not just about resisting things, but just finding calm. So did you guys talk about, so you talked about Kongs and licky mats and stuff like that, but what about, and puzzles, but with the Find It, because was it Find It that you did, or like a search game?
We do Find It, yes. Yeah.
Okay, exactly. So tell me a little bit about how you do your Find It's.
I used to do little trails. I would leave little trail of kibble and then, a few kibble at the end or a few good treats. But he's learned, he just follows it, goes to the ending, eats the good stuff, and then eventually he'll work his way back. Yeah, so
He's a
he's
smarty pants. That's your problem. He's too smart.
yeah, now he knows that dogs are efficient. So he's like, why am I gonna do this, right? Or we'll do the find it where I'll put, a handful of kibble kind of around the house, different stations. But
Okay.
then he started to follow me, and then he'll just watch where I put it. And then so anyways, I try and put him in the kennel, and then I'll kind of leave it around the house. But I notice he's a big sniffer, right? He's a German Shepherd.
Yep.
So he does love sniffing in the back as well. But sometimes in the house, I find when we tell him to find it, he'll run around. He won't necessarily use his nose. And I
Okay.
don't know if it's because right now he's looking with his eyes where it is, or maybe we need to hide it more. But I try and walk the circuit, so at least my scent is there. But I notice he doesn't put his nose to the ground yet. But I also find he gets very frustrated easily. So
Okay.
we had a Zogo Flex, the West Paw, the blue one, the long one, and we'll put beef and stuff in it, but it's too difficult, so he'll leave it, right? Even though it's
Okay.
really good. So I do know if something's very difficult, he's kind of meh, because he's not that food motivated as well. We
Okay.
notice, like, he likes food, but if it's too difficult, he won't bother. He loves his toys. So anyways, with the find it, we do, the handful of foods, and then he'll go find it and eat it. And that seems to be working well, but that's kind of the extent that we do.
Okay. And are those his meals that you're feeding him through Find It?
Yeah. Yeah. It would be
Yeah.
his meals. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because the first thing, which maybe you've already been told, but no more food dish. If you have one, don't use it. He
No.
doesn't need one. Okay.
Day one, we got rid. So the previous owners, they left his food out constantly. And they said,
Right.
we don't know why he's eating. And I mean, I've never seen that before. I've heard of it, but never saw it. So I said, no. So,
Yeah.
so it took him a few days for him he wasn't a big eater and stuff, but it took, okay, that's fine. Okay, thank you. Are you going to come on or no? Okay, that's okay. Okay, sorry.
We're recording. It's okay.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's okay. So they used to use a bowl, but then day one we brought him home and no food, nothing. And so he learned pretty quickly that he has to work for it. So we only do exactly scatter feeding, or the Kong has his food in it. Like, absolutely, that's how we train him.
Okay, awesome. And his Kong, is it stuffed and frozen at this point?
Yep, but then he doesn't like it because it's
Too hard.
it's frozen too hard. So then he waits for it to defrost, and then maybe an hour or two later he'll go back to it. So
Okay.
yeah. Even his we have the West Paw, the orange one, right? And then I'll freeze that. That's a bit better, I think, because it's easier.
Okay.
He can lick it and stuff. So anyways, I gave it to him 45 minutes ago, right before, to keep him busy, but he just kind of left it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit more of a picture of him as well. I mean, he's not an unusual shepherd, and I think, unfortunately, his early history probably wasn't the best. Well, we know it wasn't the best, but it was probably even less the best than we think. So, yeah, that's unfortunate, but we'll work with it. German Shepherds are very sensitive dogs, even if they have the perfect early socialization period. They're very, very sensitive to change, and they can get overwhelmed really easily. So it is a fine line between properly mentally stimulating, especially at this point, because his brain's very jumbled. So it's a fine line between properly stimulating his mind and not overwhelming him at the same time. Because you're probably seeing a little bit of both understimulation as well as that tired toddler overstimulation. You're getting a combination of that.
Absolutely.
And with a big German Shepherd, that can get scary for sure. So we're gonna have to find that fine balance. I want to work with the Find It game because, and you said it just right. He's not using his nose. Using his nose is a critical part of that game. So when we first teach that game, we teach it so that it is visual, so the dog can get the idea, the concept. When you hear those words, find it, you're to look for something. But we have to get to a point where he isn't using his eyes, and that he's enjoying using his nose. And that's where that making sure the game doesn't last too long, or that it gets broken up. So before I give you my idea, tell me a little bit about what your daily schedule is like with him and just in general.
And oh, by the way, we don't walk him.
Okay.
And I think that's
because he's a little, he's hard, he's reactive on his walks, or?
Yeah, and we were told that ditch the walks completely because he's so overstimulated. So even when we go out to the front, the treats that will work in the back, he can't take it. He won't take it no matter what. And then, yeah, he's pull any dog he sees, he's reactive. He'll pull our arm off. I think it's just too much stimulation in the front.
Okay.
So no walking. Yeah, so I guess we'll get up and maybe around 9, we'll let him out of the kennel. And then we feed him a little bit. So we'll, I'll give him one of his toy games that he knows how to do. Give him some of that. We'll take him out to go potty. And then from then, I mean, we're both working, so we're both online, which I think he likes attention as well. So he doesn't like it. So even when I was on with you at the beginning, he was barking at me. And then we'll give him normally a licky mat just to kind of keep him busy or calm. And then he has been getting better in terms of settling down. If Michael and I are in the same room, he'll settle down at our feet. Okay. We're in separate rooms. So again, right now, and he loves me, but he loves Michael. So right now he's with Michael at his feet. But he's kind of around the house. We let him loose around the house. And then at some point when he starts to get agitated, then we'll put him in the kennel, not as punishment. It's not a bad place for him. He likes his kennel. But we'll give him a West Paw and put him in the kennel. And then he stays in there for 2 to 4 hours. And then we'll let him out. And then we'll take him out again. And then kind of let him go around the house again, do what he wants, but he kind of eventually settles down sometimes. And then that's kind of it. We're into the evening. I'll make dinner and he will be around, or sometimes he's agitated. So sometimes I'll put him back in the kennel. And then at nighttime, we live with my sister as well. There's 3 of us here. She watches TV in the main room and he barks constantly at the TV. So the hockey game, for example, last night, he just goes crazy. So I think it's the movement on the screen. So again, we'll have to put him in the kennel and cover it, or we have a second kennel in one of the back rooms. So we'll put him in that kennel so he's not agitated. And then I try and let him out before because we're going to bed soon. So I don't want him in the kennel, before bed. So sometimes we'll try, Michael's been doing a really great job of working with him with the TV. So when he's barking and fixate on the TV, then he'll try and break it, and then he'll stand in front of him, and every time Toto looks, he'll give him treats. So, and that way kind of calm down. So we've been, again, that's on us. We said, we're going to figure out. So we've been reading books, and that's how Michael picked up how to do that. So he's doing that with him. And then that's it. Bedtime, maybe we'll take him out again. And then bedtime around 10:30, 11.
Okay. What kind of things escalate him on the TV?
It seems like everything. It's hard because at the beginning, he, when we first got him, he would just sit and watch and wouldn't bark. But then it seemed like after Hell Week in October, everything set him off. So really we don't turn on the TV around him. So it's almost everything, but it seems to be, from our observation, seems to be quick movement. Like in Home Alone, when the kid's running, he lost his mind and started jumping up at the TV, and he's barking, barking, barking.
Okay.
So that when I called the previous owner last week to kind of go over things before our call, she said he never barked at the TV, but he always watched. And then the other issue is the reflections to lights.
Yes, I saw that.
Oh yeah, it's
Okay.
again, hell week was constant. We'd be sitting at the dinner table and just nonstop, right? So now we know, okay, break the behavior, break it off, remove him from the situation, distract him, whatever you need to do. So it has gone down, mind you. We've worked a lot with him. However, anything, the reflection off the ring, these lights, like he'll come in and then I'll see him like that, and you have to get ready to shut off the lights or remove him, whatever it may be. Super triggered. I asked them, did you use a laser pointer? She said
Right.
no. She said no. And she said when she was cooking, though, the reflection off her rings as well would set him off. So he seemed to be already triggered from a younger age as well. So that's a huge concern for us as well.
It's definitely a red flag, for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, it's a red flag, but it really just indicates, it's kind of like it's an OCD. Basically, it's an OCD.
Okay.
And we'll usually see things like that with a lot of herding breeds. Herding breeds is very common, to see them start to chase and look for things, that may or may not be there. Lights are, very common simply because they come on, they come off, they reflect on other objects, and some of the reflections. We know that dogs don't see color, but we know that they see shades, different shades. So they don't see color the same way we do, but the way they see shades, it's very possible that they might see reflections, more than we do. So it might be easier. Plus, being a German Shepherd, that's what his brain is designed to do, is to find things that don't belong or don't fit and fix it, right? Make it go away, put it back in order. And so lights, it's a very common thing to see. I had a border collie, pit bull mix who had, there he is. Hi, beautiful. How are you? Oh, he's gorgeous.
Yes.
Hello.
He's going up to the
Yes.
windows and he flips them open to watch, right? The
Yeah.
front, so people, he can go nuts. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, you have a border collie.
Yeah, I had a border collie pit bull. He used to just even the reflection off my plate when I was eating, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. I have a full idea of what we want to do. I don't want to make this like a focus of the topic, but you said you had tried some calming aids. Yes, no, yeah. What did
As in like
medicine?
food
Like
or
medicine?
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you try again? Can you remind me?
It's called Calm Canine. So it's through Absolute Dogs, of course. Um, yeah, it's Calm Canine. I attached the link too. So after, if you want to take a look. So
Yes,
it's a
please.
calming supplement for dogs that bark, lunge, and do focus. So they say it works a lot with their gut, the gut microbiomes in their stomach. And vet recommended, I mean, so Absolute Dog, so Tom is a vet, and so he says they formulate this product, blah blah blah, all this stuff. So we use it twice a day, 2 teaspoons. I don't know if you want me to read the ingredients for you or not.
That's okay. You can.
Okay.
You sent the link already.
It's in the behavior questionnaire.
Okay.
Do you want me sending the email?
Yes, please, if you wouldn't mind, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Because I just want to see what's in there. Because I'm thinking like, well, when I use behavioral medication, it's definitely not a permanent thing. It shouldn't never really be a permanent thing. But it's something that maybe we should consider for him. Unless you're finding that what you're using as formula has made a significant difference. So I'll have a look at it first before we talk about that again. but it's something that I definitely have in my mind, simply because what we're working with here really is his brain chemistry, that he doesn't have a heck of a lot of control over himself. He will learn to control it. That's what we're going to do with him. But at this point in time, he doesn't have control over his brain chemistry. And so it can make it really challenging for him to navigate through life, really, if his brain is always producing adrenaline. Cortisol levels are probably high on a daily basis. And with those cortisol levels so high, it's going to be really hard for him to sort things out. And that will make it very challenging for you guys as well, because like I said, it's going to be that really fine balance. So what I'm going to do is I've got an idea of how we're going to work through this. So we're going to start that plan. We will do a little bit of work with him today, but that's something that I want to think about, okay? Just to help balance his brain a little bit more. But I'll have a look at what that supplement is before we talk about that again. Okay.
So, excuse me, I just sent it to that email that I think Jen said ready to go. So I sent it in that, take a look, but yeah, apparently it's one of the more all natural ones, which we kind of liked. And I understand what you're saying. So take a look, and I'd be interested to get your thoughts. But I think I've noticed a difference. It seems to kind of take an edge off him. Before he was super, even more reactive, and he still is now. But I found that he's able to actually settle. Whereas before,
Peps. That's enough. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Whereas before, he was just pace the house constantly, unable to settle. So
okay,
I think it does help a bit, but Michael's not so sure. So I don't know. I'm willing to try anything.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get started anyways with what my plan is. So with the Find It, we want to move towards getting him to use his nose. So what we're going to do next, so this is where I'm going to get my pepper involved.
Mm-hmm.
Set myself up. Hang on.
Yep. Do you have people going in right now, or it's completely just you?
Oh no, it's completely just me.
Oh my God, because of the lockdown.
Right, yeah. Okay. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And then eventually, if things open, let's say ending of January, then this is something that we could do in person.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, good. That's what we need.
Okay. So what I often do is from the start. Can you see Pepper? No, you can't. I'm gonna move you. Is that better?
Yep, I can. Yes.
So when we first start the game, we will drop it. So Find It. Yes. So it's where she can see it. I want to then get creative. So just within that simple game, I want to get creative with Find It. Find It. So I'm going to toss one over there. And while she's getting the one over there, I'm going to just drop one behind me. And then I'm going to repeat the cue again. Find it. Find it. Find it. Find it. All right, so let's just say he is searching or he's looking and he's not finding it. Rather than, I don't want to go right over to it, I'm going to maybe a foot or two away. Find it. Over there. Yes, good. So I'm going to bring him closer, but not right to it. So I always want to set it up so that he has to kick his nose in.
Okay.
Okay, so, and you guys can work as partners as well. So if one of you plays Find It and then the other, you can both play together. but one of you is going to secretly drop that treat.
Around in that little area that we choose.
And what I might actually even do is use kibble for the one that he can see, and use something of more value for the one who can't see. So 2 things happen. It smells stronger, it's easier for him to find, and it's more valuable. So what ends up happening is sniffing results in better treats.
Okay, right.
And that's not forever, because scavenging is incredibly emotionally boosting for a dog, because it's something that they really have to do. So using a dog's nose is kind of like us using our hands. So they really do need to use it. Okay. So we want that to be of higher value. However, after he really gets into the game, the value will be actually using his nose. So you can then go back to using kibble for everything. Make sense?
Yeah, that was going to be my question, is what to use when. So
yeah.
So when we first started, originally is kibble, he can see that.
That's right.
And then when he's getting the kibble, I'm going to use the beef treat and put it, behind me, let's say, and then find it.
Okay. That's right. Correct. And the other thing that we want to start to involve him, because he already knows the game, it's not a brand new game. We don't want to advance too quickly, but we can do 2 different things. So we're going to get him to use his nose, but we're also going to get him to look on different heights, different levels. Okay, so in the same vicinity, but use a chair, use a bench. You can use a table, but not your dining room table. Nothing that you eat off of, but just find different heights. And you can even potentially, you don't want to go too far, but I would do one or the other. Heights, or the other thing that you can rotate between. And I would rotate a little bit, because I think he's getting bored of the same game is what is happening as well, right? So it's interesting, but the interest doesn't last very long. So we need to kind of make it a little bit different. And by making it a little bit different each time, there will be a little bit of a challenge there, but not too big of a challenge. So every time will be a little bit different. So one time you're going to work on heights. Another time you're going to work on maybe having either a box, an open box, or a gift bag kind of thing. So something that you can place the treat in. And when you're doing either heights or in a box or a bag, you're going to take him over to the area, let his nose kick in. Okay. And in the beginning, if you need to use lunch meats or leftover meat from dinner to really get his nose to kick in, go ahead and do that, because he will enjoy the game. I can pretty much promise you that. So it won't really just be about the food. In the beginning, it will, and that's why we need that higher value food for him to actually seek it out. But we need him to start seeking it out. So that's what I would do with the Find It game. And those are his meals, always his meals, okay? In fact, I would probably do, with Toto, I would do more Find It games than food puzzles. Okay. So I might have a food puzzle in the evening, and a food puzzle doesn't have to be a lot of food. It can be even like, he can lick a little piece of banana, smashed banana out of the box that he lifts, for example, or the cube that he moves out of the way, that kind of thing. And on that note, the potassium in banana is naturally calming. So that's a really good food item to work with him. Have you used banana with him before? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
He likes it.
Mm-hmm. Yay, good. Yeah. So bananas are really to work with, aside from the fact that we usually have rotting bananas around that nobody else wants. I put them in the freezer. Husband kind of looks at me like, really, Jen? How long am I gonna be in there? Like, fine, I'll feed it to the dog.
Yeah, that's right.
I try. I have this dream of making banana bread all the time, but I never really do.
I know. It's so much quicker giving it to the dog.
So yeah, so banana is a really good one. And you can even play Find It with a licky mat. Like I think that would be a really good thing at the end of the day, for example, or potentially even in the beginning of the day too. So you might even, okay, see, sometimes as I talk out loud, I start to get a better picture, but yeah, so I think that's probably what I would do, because we do want him to start to find calm. I want to work the on your place exercise that we will do, but a really good way to get that started and get him to choose to go to a certain place and choose to lie down is what I would do is, since you have a licky mat, I would have a licky mat prepared. I would do the find it for his breakfast, for example. And then the last item he's going to find is a licky mat where he can lie down, maybe by his bed or blanket or whatever it is that you're using for calm. Okay. And then that would be that's a meal for him.
So on the note, we do heights is something for sure. We would be a good one, because we even have at the bottom of the stairs, we would do find it. And then we would put kibble on the bottom of the stair and he wouldn't even look, it didn't even cross his mind. Right. So I think, yeah, the elevation and stuff, he's just kind of this floor. So that's great. We did do a game to build his confidence. It's called Cardboard Chaos, and you have a box you throw the stuff in, and so he noses around and finds the kibble. So we did do a bit of that because he is very anxious too. So if something falls, he'll kind of jump back and kind of cower down. So Cardboard Chaos was supposed to kind of help build this optimism and confidence which he needs. But so I'm just thinking in terms of when you listed it as an option, if we put the treat in for the box, should we still be using kibble then?
In the box, if that's something new that he's done, I would use something smellier.
Okay, yeah, because he's always done the kibble in the box.
Exactly. Yeah, so I would do kibble for more of the simple find its.
Okay.
Right. And use higher value treat for the ones that are new for him, the new find its.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, because that will allow you to always, once one level is easy for him, so a certain height is easy for him, then you're going to pick a different element to challenge in the game, a different challenge in the game. And then those heights that were once challenging but now easy, those heights will be kibble, and the next level will be the new, the more special treat.
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can also, depending on how focused he is on the game, you can break the game up a little bit. Like, I'm not too sure how quickly he moves to the next idea. So if you find that he's only able to concentrate on the find it for 30 seconds or for a minute, but he's got a couple more minutes left in the game before he finishes everything, you can practice a recall or something like that, and then bring him back into it. So something like that. And it doesn't have to be an exciting recall. It could be that while he's nosing around, while he's eating something, you just kind of back up a little bit or back out of the room and call his name. Get him to give him a kibble. Again, nothing too exciting, because the more exciting thing is to find it. Unless, how is recall okay with you in the house if you come all the time?
Sorry, his recall? How is his recall?
The house. Well, if you call him in the house, will he come to you easily?
Yeah, he will. Lately, he's just been kind of, I'll come when I want eventually.
Okay. So I think there's value in involving the recall then in the game to break it up, make it a little bit more interesting. Also brings a little bit more physical energy, and it brings you into the game, because we also want to make sure that while he's gaining confidence, while he's burning brain energy and finding the ability to balance himself, we also want to make sure that he is that you are an important leader in all this. You will be, because you're setting up the games and stuff, but we want to do a little bit of training with him where he has to come back to you and he has to pay attention and he has to do something with you and then go back to his game. Mm-hmm. I think that that's probably a really good idea. Even if you don't do a recall, even if you just get his attention and practice something like a sit, or does he know to touch his nose to your hand?
No, we haven't done that.
No? Okay, so we will definitely teach him that because that is an amazing skill, very useful. And another one of things, especially for a herder, guiding their nose, targeting things. That's something that they usually thrive on. So we're going to involve targeting in his training. That might be a really good idea. We'll teach him how to target, and you can either in the, like, say, let's this week before he knows to target really well, you might just do a recall. So just kind of step out of the room quietly, call his name, come. And if recalls are not solid for him, then give him a good treat for that as well.
Okay.
Give him one of your more valuable treats, because we don't want to lose the recall. We don't want him to decide that the find it game is better than the recall. So
Yes.
right, so keep that high value treat for your recalls, but that will help to break it up, help to strengthen that skill for him of coming to you, because these are all things that are important. One of the things that might be happening with him, because he's a shepherd and we're not doing walking, and I understand why we're not doing walking and we're not going to jump into walking, I'm not asking that, okay. But he's not getting a lot, from the picture I'm getting, he's currently not getting a lot of interaction with you, like as in responding to things that you're asking of him. And I think that probably needs that a little bit more guidance. So, and we can work on those walking skills in the house as well. Okay, all right. So that's how you're gonna feed him. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah. So I think the biggest one is find it right now, doing find it. And then in order to break that up a bit, let's do something like recall. And or
touch.
Okay. Yeah, or touch. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll work on touch. Touch will be a skill that you might start using in the middle of find it next week, let's say.
Okay.
Okay. So this week, just focus on the recalls. Next week, we will start to play with the find it, because the touch, because we're going to teach him touch this week.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
So, yep. Touch is next week.
Okay. Okay. So that's how we're going to feed him. Now, the next exercise that I want to talk about is an umbilical cord exercise. I don't know how this will work for him based on his energy levels, but I want him to start to get used to being with you on leash, responding to you on leash, and being calm on leash inside the house. So I think that's a very important skill for him to learn, and will also create a very tight bonding connection with you and him. For a few minutes at a time. I don't start the umbilical cord exercise, and I actually don't do the umbilical cord exercise for more than 5 tops 10 minutes at a time with any dog, because it doesn't need to be. So, and what that just means is you're going to have a leash attached to your waist that's attached to him. And again, if this is not something that's going to work this week, then it might be a goal for next week. But I do want to get that into his routine with you. So I would do that. Let's say, for example, as a daily routine, you feed him his breakfast through Find It. His last Find It is the licky mat, let's say. And maybe he takes a little bit of a rest while he's licking the licky mat. When he is ready to get up again, which in the beginning probably won't be too long, when he's ready to get up again, because he's burnt some brain energy and because he has soothed himself, that is probably the ideal time to do maybe about 5 minutes of an umbilical cord exercise. Okay. And this is like, you can let me know if this doesn't work with your schedule as well, or if we need to tweak it a little bit. And I see that you're taking notes. So if you and your husband find that you want to tweak something a little bit and you're not too sure, always feel free to like send me an email and just say like, this part doesn't work for us. Can we do this? Or just even say this part doesn't work for us. What can we do instead? For example, right? Because sometimes it's hard for me to tell how it's really going to work in your real life. And if it doesn't work in your real life, it's not gonna work. So, okay. So I'm giving you my ideal vision for Toto. So after he's done the licky mat, you put him on umbilical cord. And for this, we're keeping it really simple, very simple training. you're going to, what are things that he knows already? What behaviors does he know on cue?
Sit, settle, paw, kennel.
Okay. For settle, what does that mean?
Lie down. So yeah, all 4 paws and then he's down.
And hip up?
Ooh.
No, just any down?
Yeah, any down.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to perfect that because it needs to be an actual settle. And it might be, right? Because I think you're trying to visualize it. So I can see you're trying to visualize it. So it might be, but we just need to make sure that it does actually end in a complete settle, or that's what we're working towards. If it doesn't end that way this week, that's okay. That's what we're working towards. Okay.
Sometimes he'll try and you'll say settle and then he'll still be, because I don't really can't envision what you're asking, but sometimes he'll kind of do the fake one, right? The fake one, and we'll say no, get down, and then he'll go down, right? So that's
okay. So you see his body soften a bit more.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good boy. He's trying.
Oh yeah,
That's
he'll
fine.
he'll try. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So I would like to, is he still with you in the room?
No, I can grab him though. Sorry. That's more of a settle.
Okay, yeah. So his hip is up. We're gonna work on lowering that chest a little bit.
Okay.
But his hip is up. So that's good.
Okay.
Because when we have square hips, that's not a dog that's settled. That's a dog that's ready for the next thing. And that's more of an obedience down, because in obedience, there's going to be another command, another command, another command. But we want him to actually physically calm his body to the point where he could fall asleep. So he's halfway there. Okay, he's got his hip up, but his chest is very up. And that could just be the particular picture, but in that particular picture, his chest is up and his front part of his body is very alert, which is normal. So that's fine. We'll work on that. Okay, where was I though?
You asked if he was around.
Okay. Oh yes, asked if he's around, because I want to teach him touch. So touch is basically teaching him to touch his nose. We're going to start with your hand, touch his nose to your hand. So he's targeting. Targeting is how really we teach dogs pretty much everything cool. Because wherever the nose goes, body follows. Their nose is kind of like their hands, so they can turn on, like they can manipulate objects and things with their nose. So they can learn how to actually push as well. These are skills that are really fun skills for you, but they are necessary skills for him because of who he is. He's a herding dog. He needs to tap into that herding brain, and targeting is a big part of that, as well as the nose work.
Good.
So, so basically, Pepper, where's my little helper here? Peps, you're up. Wearing a big sweater because she's a wimp. She will like ball herself up in a blanket.
Oh, that's so cute.
Okay. Peps. Over here. Thank you. Good girl. Okay. So in the beginning, you're going to just start by placing your hand in front of her nose. Yes. And she's doing it really fast because she knows this really well. But you just hold your hand in front of his nose. And by nature, he's going to check it out, right? He's a curious dog. Yes. As soon as you feel his nose on your hand, you're going to, do you use a marker like yes? With your training? Yeah, okay. So you use your marker to say the word yes and follow with a treat. So yeah, so your hand is right in front of his nose, nice and simple. If he doesn't actually put his nose on your hand, but he moves towards your hand, start with that.
Okay.
Use your yes word, give a treat. You want to have your treats behind your back or on the counter or something like that so that he's not staring at you. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So treat hand back. Yes, and that's it. And you'll repeat. You're with in the beginning, you'll do maybe 3 or 4, and then take a few seconds break. Walk away, do something else, and maybe do another 3 or 4. Yes. Yes. Okay. And when you're rewarding basically right in front. Okay. So with targeting, because we use it for very specific things later on, we want to make sure that the nose kind of stays where the target is. Make sense? So when you're rewarding, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when you're rewarding, I'll show you again. Yes. Right in front of the hand. Yes.
Okay, so you bring it in front of the target hand.
The target, exactly.
Okay,
right?
Okay.
Because when we're using targeting for other things, which you most likely will, you're going to start to teach him more and more stuff as he becomes more balanced and needs more to learn. And so it's helpful to just start the training off right in the beginning. So just keep his nose where your target is.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you.
So with touch, you'll probably be able to do this fairly quickly. So I'm going to tell you what the next steps are right away. I think she's actually annoyed by her sweater. Trying to rub it off.
Getting warm without us work. Yeah.
I'm warm now. My funny little helper. Hello, rascal. Okay. So we want to, as quickly as he is ready for it, we want to start getting him to follow the target. And so the two things you're working towards is having him follow a moving target, as well as getting multiple targets for one treat. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to do before you move to multiple for one treat, you're going to move to moving your target. So Pepper, touch. Are you itching? What's the matter? Okay, touch. Yes. So moving target just means left and right and up and down. So not far. Touch, 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 touch. Yes. So you're going to graduate from your touch right in front of your hand to high, so up, left, right. So getting him to follow small movements of the target. And again, it will be one treat at a time in the beginning. Every time you increase the difficulty of the behavior, you want to go back to rewarding every time you ask. Does that make sense?
Sorry, say that again. Every time you increase
so every time you ask for the behavior, you're going to reward. Right. Meaning that, so when you're doing your touch right in front of him, touch.
Yes.
Yes. You should be able to, within a couple of days, because he's a pretty smart boy. So within a couple of days, you should be able to do touch, touch, touch. Yes.
Right.
So get 2 or 3 right in front and just give one treat at the end. And when you're doing that, make sure you say your yes word after the 3rd touch. So you're not saying touch, yes, touch, yes, touch, yes, because he should get a treat every time he hears the word yes.
I see.
Right. The full behavior there is 3 touches.
Right. So it's touch, touch, touch.
Yes.
Touch, yes. And yes was a treat. Right.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay.
And then when you are changing the skill or changing the level of difficulty, meaning now you're adding movement, you're going to go back to touch, yes, treat, touch, yes, treat, touch, yes, treat, right? Until that becomes easy for him. And then you can say touch, 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 yes. Touch, yes, right?
Perfect.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is what you're going to start working with him on the umbilical cord. Okay. Touch is a beautiful thing because we can use that outside as well eventually to turn his head away from stimuli. And we turn his head away from the stimuli. It's a motivating Wait, sorry, my dog's making noises in the background. Let me know if you can hear me. It's morning time, so she's very awake and wondering
Yeah,
what's
no.
taking so long. Yeah. So we want to, yeah, so with the touch, it's going to be able to move his head away, and it's a very motivating way to move a dog away from trouble, anything like that, because two things happen. It's a very exciting behavior. So it helps to make them feel better about the current situation. So for example, let's say, maybe not in the front yard, but let's say in the backyard, when he knows to target really well, as soon as he alerts to a stimuli and you ask him to touch. So if he alerts and then becomes overstimulated, that's different. The touch may not work, especially not this week. But if he learns touch really well within the next 3 or 4 days, let's say, because it's usually one of those behaviors they pick up pretty quickly, then you may be able to start using it as soon as he alerts. So as soon as you see his ears come up, his head, he's just acknowledging a sound. I wouldn't even wait to figure out what the sound is. Right away, see if you can get a touch from him. And if you can't, don't repeat it. But a touch, what that does, it turns his head, and then instead of thinking about the stimuli, like, what is that? Should I bark at it? Now he's going, oh, I get to touch and get a treat. So it changes how his brain is thinking and feeling. And then also too, it's even though it's guided by us, it is his choice to move away from the stimuli. And that's important. The more that we can get him to choose to do things, the more solid that will be for him in the end. I'm just gonna pause for just 1 minute, okay?
Yeah, sure.
One moment.
Yep.
All right, I'm back.
Hey.
Hey. All right, I just had one of my clients' dogs dropped off. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Because we started a bit later, I was off with my timing, and she was a little bit early.
It's always the way.
So let's go back to where we were. So we did.
So we did touch and talking about stimuli outside, how it's his choice to move away, and that's really good for him.
Okay, yeah. All right, so yeah, there's a couple more things I want to go over. So yeah, so we have the umbilical cord. So you're gonna do about 5 minutes of that, and that's just walking around your house, okay? Wherever is the calmest for him. So, it might be that you only have 1 or 2 rooms that he feels the calmest in. Start there. You don't have to move out of those spaces yet. This exercise will help you to move out of those spaces and should really help you get some foundations going for when you are ready to start walks again. Okay.
And sorry, so the umbilical cord is just attach the leash to him, put it around your waist. Is that you want it around your waist, or just you kind of want to hold it?
Ideally, and this depends on his energy level as well and your safety, of course. But ideally, I would like to have your hands off. So I'd like him to start to follow your body.
Okay.
I want him to acknowledge your movements, acknowledge your energy, because especially being a shepherd, that's something that they do very, very well.
Okay.
And walking should be calming. So movement. So you're not just standing still. You're not just working on one skill alone. That should actually feel calming for him to be moving attached to you. And it also gives him a little bit of an introduction to walking, because while it's still in the same environment, it's going to be something new he hasn't done before. So it will burn brain energy. He's going to learn touch. I would definitely do my touch on my umbilical cord. Sorry about that.
You're having fun.
Yes, they definitely are. So so we want to I want him to get him thinking. I want him to start to become a little bit more in tune to you, because I think that's probably something he's craving. While I agree that we don't want to train him in environments that are overstimulating for him or that he can't focus in, I also feel like any dog, and again, particularly a herding dog, they need to feel that connection. They need to feel direction and guidance. And I don't think he's feeling that because you're trying to keep him calm all the time, which is great. But he also needs to think, he needs to move with you.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's what Wood's missing is we understand the benefit of calm, and I think on paper it makes sense. However, we also know we have this high prey driven dog who we know he's not getting the physical and mental stimulation. 100% we know, right? But anything we were doing, he goes 0 to 100, and that's what he jumps up and he gets so excited and then he'll bite. So I think this is a good introduction. So the umbilical cord, the whole point is, let's say have it around our waist, walk around for 5 minutes, but within those 5 minutes, do touch?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So while you're walking, this week, stop. You can stop your walking, practice the touch, do 2 or 3, and then walk. This is a perfect way to get a couple in, take a little break, and then repeat it again so that he will learn it without getting bored or overwhelmed.
Okay.
You can also do find it on the umbilical cord. So that is just it, even though it won't be as challenging because it's going to be harder to hide things, you're moving around your house, but at the same time, it still adds an element of change in the game because it's different. He's on leash, he's walking around with you. And that's something that he probably really needs, because one of the things that really resonates with me that you mentioned is that he's enjoying the find it game, but he's also not as into it as he was before, right? Because he needs something to change with it. He needs changes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got a few changes with that going. On the umbilical cord, I would also do the things that he already knows. So if he knows to sit and lie down on command or settle on command, work on those as well. So you're throwing in a couple of easy things that he already knows, and you're working on one new item, which is the touch.
Okay.
Okay. So that I'll get you to do, even if you do that to start once a day, just to start. Okay. And let me know how it goes. Okay. So a lot of this, I'm going to ask for your feedback because I'm not with him. So I want to make sure that this is actually going in the right direction. So please give me your feedback as soon as you start doing these items. So we've got the umbilical cord. The settle, what I'm going to say about that, because you've got a few things that you're working on. I'm going to, rather than go over it today, I'm going to send you the Karen Overall's full protocol written out. And I'm going to send you our On Your Place video that kind of shows how we teach on your place is what we call it. It ends up in a settle. That's the command that we use in the end. But it teaches the dog how to settle their body without any cues. So instead of asking your dog to go to their place and lie down, you just put the place down. And as soon as he steps on the place, you say yes and drop a treat or a kibble on the place. So on his blanket. Is it a towel or blanket, or what does he use? You have
For
anything?
settle?
Yeah.
No, if he's, no, not
Okay.
really. If he's crazy,
Okay.
settle.
Okay. So this is something that I am going to add. It's good that he responds to the settle cue without the blanket,
Yeah.
but I want you to have something visual, because what I think that he needs is he needs to know that there's somewhere he can go to bring himself down. And if he starts to get used to calming his own body down on that place, and it's available, then you should actually start to see him bring himself there when he needs to.
So
And that's kind of the goal with on your place, is for your dog to be able to self-regulate, to be able to say, hey, I'm feeling high right now. And when I feel high, I can calm myself down over there. All right, that's enough. Enough. Speaking of high, you're too high.
So we do have, the 2 kennels, and we do have the raised bed, right? Well, the raised bed, if you can see it,
Okay.
that.
Oh, perfect. Okay, that's awesome. Great. Good.
Yeah, when he goes on it, he goes on his own, and then he'll settle if we're in the office as well.
Okay.
But how would we then incorporate that in, or would that be with the Karen's protocol that you
It's
send?
going to be the Karen overall protocol.
Okay.
I want you to read that. I'm going to send it to you, or just glimpse through it. It gives basically what the protocol gives you, and why I like to include it is because she really very clearly guides you through different exercises, add stimuli to that exercise slowly. And it gives you a daily schedule of how to add those stimuli in, because that's really important. He needs to learn how to calm his whole body, and then he needs to learn how to maintain that calm with stimuli, and then he needs to learn how to bring himself into that calm when the stimuli is occurring already. So those are kind of the stages we need to take him through.
Okay.
He's halfway through the first stage, so that's a huge plus. The video that I will send you is of me actually going through the step-by-step calming exercise, like settling on the base without any cues. So I just use, I think I might have used a clicker in the video, but for him, I wouldn't use a clicker. We need to keep calm, especially in the house, so no clicker yet. I think that we will involve a clicker, but not just yet.
Okay.
At this point, just a nice calm. Yes, he's used to it, so it's not new. And the clicker can be a little bit arousing for some dogs, so we'll just avoid that for now. Am I frozen? Can you hear me?
Yeah, so I'm just writing it down. So in the video that you're gonna send, you use a clicker, but we're not gonna use that. Just use.
That's right. Use the word yes. And you're basically marking and rewarding every step he takes into calm. And you're gonna drop your rewards on that place. So what I'm gonna suggest, because you have the raised bed, which is beautiful, height is always a good thing for confidence. So use the bed, but what I would do is put a towel or blanket on it that's easy, that's flat, and that we can now start to move that around the house. But I would start in the office because he's already used to doing it there, so that's going to be his easiest success. And if you put a towel or blanket there, then that towel or blanket's going to start to actually smell like his calm hormones, which is really cool. That's one of the things that we do know for sure. Dogs can actually respond to the scents around them, so much so that that's one of the main reasons why going to the vet clinic is often really not fun, because they can smell everything that happened in that clinic before they got there. Right. And so that's usually the bulk of a dog's stress before they even walk in the door. So yeah, so he'll start to be able to smell his own calming hormones, but you can even advance that a little bit by using either, I would probably try essential oil lavender. If you don't have that, I might be able to get you I definitely can get you some. I'm an essential oil junkie, so I have lots of lavender. But it has to be a clean lavender. That's why I'm picky with the kind that you use. It's got to be clean, no chemicals added, and very dilute, because his scent obviously is way stronger than ours. So very, very dilute. But lavender can actually be just as calming for a dog as it is for human beings. And plus, it's that aromatherapy connection that will help him to get it faster. If he enjoys the scent, you can actually even put it on a scarf for your training in your backyard, for example. So that way, I probably wouldn't use the scarf indoors. I would focus on, if I was going to use my lavender or an aromatherapy, I would focus it on the calming bed, on his settle bed. And then I would put it on a scarf every time he steps foot outdoors, even in the backyard. So that way I can use it. It doesn't get overused. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Point about the towel or the blanket.
Yep.
He bites everything or chews, and he won't let go, or he'll try and hump it, or he'll take and whip it around. So
okay. So for now, just use the bed. Veranda bed without the blanket. We will bring the blanket back in because that's a sign of frustration. So we'll bring it back in, but we'll avoid it for now.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, you can still use the lavender and spritz his bed. And then on top of that too is anytime you see him naturally settling, I think you're already doing this, but just a reminder is to acknowledge that.
Yeah, we drop kibble.
Okay, good. And do you have like magical kibble jars around your house then?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, because that's what we want. So that it's not about taking that food out or putting that food away. Okay. And what else?
Sorry, what do you mean by that? Taking the food out?
Oh, meaning that he doesn't wait for you to take his kibble out or his treats out of the cupboard or the jar before he's ready to focus with you.
Oh no, yeah, exactly. He'll go do the behavior, and then I'll just see it, and then I'll go over, grab the kibble from the jar and put it.
Beautiful. Okay, that's ideal. Okay, trying to think. I think that's probably all that I would do for right now. I'm trying to think. Do you have any other questions while I'm thinking about what else I would do?
Yeah, so these are things. So find it, ideally, do it in the morning, and then do it kind of throughout the day as well, or just exclusively?
Yeah, okay. He eats twice a day?
He eats all throughout. There's no set times.
Okay.
All throughout.
If you can do it 3 times a day, I would, and I would make each game a little bit different.
Okay.
If you can, yeah. If that is available in your schedule, I would definitely do that.
Okay, and then umbilical cord, you think for the first few days, maybe just once a day?
Once a day, yeah, just once a day when he's at his calmest. So, and that might be, I'm assuming that might be after a nice game of Find It, for a meal, and after a licking mat, when he's ready. So let him take that calm time, let him take the mental break, and then when you see him starting to fidget again, or starting to move around again, that's when I would do just a short 5-minute umbilical cord exercise. And just start with that, just so we can see how that goes for him, because he will be restrained and attached to you. So I just want to make sure that's working well first.
And should that just be on his leash, or we have a rough wear harness? Should we put the harness on him and attach that?
You don't walk him right now. So yeah, I would,
or his collar?
I don't think it really matters. Okay. Maybe just his collar, just so that it doesn't make it, so that we're not making a big deal of it.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Because he's probably dying to go for a walk, even though it's a lot for him. He's probably dying for it.
Absolutely.
So I don't want him to get too. I don't want him to feel like, well, thanks for putting the harness on and we didn't go anywhere.
No, that's exactly. Yeah, you can tell. That's why he's so excited, even when we go outside. Because the previous owner would walk him, but he would pull, And
Okay.
and we don't, again, want to reinforce the bad behavior, especially if he doesn't know how to walk. So that's why we don't walk him
Correct.
um, until we're ready and on lead. So, anyways, we don't. But you can tell he's just dying. And outside, he loves it. He could spend all day.
Okay. All right. I actually, now I know there was one more thing I wanted to add to that, because I want to start to get him doing more outside, as soon as he's ready for it. So all of this, again, I'm not there with you. So, all of this, at any point that you feel that he's getting overstimulate,
Mm.
um, stop what you're doing, do something really simple, and let me know let me know how it went. Okay, give me some feedback. um, but what I want to get him outside, so he's going in the backyard. um, when he's in the backyard, what is his backyard routine like? What does he like to do? What are you doing? That kind of thing.
We're trying to do figure eights because we heard that's really calming. So again, he's always on lead with us. We have also two, our neighbor has two terriers who are yappy yappy and bark constantly, and then he'll run over to the fence. So there's a wooden fence, but he will fixate on them, and he's pretty good. I think he wants to be friends with them, and when they go away, then that's when he barks and gets agitated. Then there's also a big dog that he can't see as well with a big bark a few houses over. So if he starts barking, then Toto will go nuts. So we try, and squirrels, he'll go nuts as well,
Okay.
and barking and everything. So we'll try and do figure eights with him in the back, and sometimes it's really good and calm. Um, and then we'll try and get him to go to the washroom. It takes him forever, I think, just because maybe he's so agitated, or so on high alert that he, like I said, we could take him out 3 times and he wouldn't go, and on the fourth time he would go. But that's 4 hours later, right? And you're super frustrated. And then just sometimes we'll be outside, and I think he just wants to play. So that's when he'll start jumping up, trying to grab the leash in his hands, biting the leash, and then jumping up and biting you. And then now he's mad that he has the cage muzzle, and I think he's mad that he can't bite us. So it's gotten even more aggressive. But
Okay.
yeah, so, and that's it. We just take him out to go to the washroom and then bring him back inside.
Okay. Okay. So the last piece that I'm going to give you, because we are working with a reactive dog, we also need him to start to learn how to remove himself from things that are overwhelming. And also I want to start to reconnect you with him in a way that he is seeing that you are responding to his body language as communication. So what I'm going to do in our Snappy to Happy program, which is basically revolved around BAT, behavior adjustment training. Have you looked that up, or have you heard of that?
Yeah, Grisha, is that
Grisha
the?
Stewart.
Yes, yeah. So I've
Okay.
been researching that because I saw it on your website, and also in the AD Absolute Dogs Facebook group. It seemed like people used that, which was more practical, and then AD was a good complement to it because we haven't found it very practical. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, on its BAT can feel very impractical, especially when you're trying to work with real life on the streets, because there's no predictability, and yeah, you need to actually, to get BAT started really well, like full BAT, you really do need to have a nice setup.
Yeah.
So that is definitely something that I would like to work on with you. But for right now, what I'm going to give you is what I give everyone for working in the real life in the early stages of training, which is basically a modified recall. I know that Grisha has a modified recall as well, but I'm going to demo my modified recall with you right now. I also have a video that I will send you that you can kind of watch it over and over again. But basically it follows the same idea, but we move a lot faster.
Okay.
And so it follows the idea of Toto sees stimuli, Toto moves away from stimuli, Toto gets rewarded after moving away from stimuli. And so we're going to follow the same idea, but we're going to make it into a bit of a recall on leash. And there's a few things that are very particular about how you do this. And I'll just kind of explain it, then I'm going to demo it. So the things that are particular about how you do your recall is that first thing is when you're working with Toto, you have him on leash. You don't have to have him on your waist at this point. This is something that you can practice with the umbilical cord once he's done it a few times. I just don't want you to get knocked over because he's a big boy. So have the leash in your hands when you first start. And you're going to kind of walk. In the beginning, you're going to do this in your house with no stimuli. I just want you to practice dry run. And dry runs are really important for both of you because he also needs to learn what the response is so that he can also follow through when stimuli is present. So you're gonna kind of walk, have the leash in your hand, walk in your house. You're all of a sudden gonna stop and you're gonna call his name and you're gonna turn. I usually suggest name because it's one of the first things that comes out of your mouth when things are tense. And so it's an easy thing to use, and there's really nothing wrong with him learning to turn into you when he hears his name. So say his name and then you're gonna turn. How you turn is one of the most important parts of this. You need to turn towards him. So either turning left if he's on your left or turning right if he's on your right. Okay. This is important because when he's actually presented with a stimuli, when you call him and turn, if it's the opposite way around, so let's say he's on your left and you turn right, what's going to happen is he's going to get a little extra momentum. He's going to swing out, get his last reaction out, and then you're going to have to drag him away with you. Not helpful. But if he's on your left and you turn left, you're essentially kind of cutting him off a little bit. You're causing him to turn with you faster. And when you do this, after observing many people try to do this with me, I'm going to say, don't think too much about it. Don't think about what side he's on. Don't think about where he is. Just he's on your left. You're going to step out your left foot. You're going to turn and you're going to walk, regardless of what his body is doing. He will come with you. And as soon as he comes with you, so it meaning that his head is facing the same direction as your head is, that's when you say yes. And you're actually going to toss a treat further ahead. So again, it's another find it, but you don't need to say find it. You're just saying the word yes, and you're tossing that treat. Another reason why you want to practice in the house so that he starts to get used to looking down. The tossing of the treat, unless later down the road when you're working outside, unless there's dangerous terrain, you're not sure if there's glass or whatever, I do want you to toss because it brings his head down, it brings his body down so he's not so alert anymore. And it also gives him more reason to move himself further away from the stimuli. Okay, so I hopefully can use my dog here to show you.
Oh.
Again, she was not supposed to arrive until I was done. All right.
Oh.
I need you here. All right. So I'm actually going to turn my screen. Can you see me? My picture is frozen. So.
Oh, really? No, I can see you.
You can see me? Can you? Is that
perfect? Yes. Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Come here, catch. So I'm going to walk.
Yeah.
And toss. Hold on. I am actually going to hold this because I want you to see the full thing. Pepper, come. She's on my right. Pepper. Yes. Toss. Good. Pepper again. Go. Pepper. Yes. Toss. So the other thing that's important about that is that before I toss the treat, I'm actually walking. Now, with
You're walking
Toto,
the other way.
I'm walking the other way. So I'm walking for a good, ideally if I can get 10 feet in, before I toss the treat, that's ideal.
Okay.
In the first week, especially if there is stimuli present, if you have to move faster and toss the treat faster, or even put the treat in his mouth, that's okay. So what we need him to get the idea of is hearing his name, turning with you, walking with you, looking for a treat. That's all we need him to get right now. Okay. And also for you to feel comfortable with that movement as well. Because the more comfortable you are, the smoother it's going to be, easier it is for him to follow through.
Okay.
That's the recall that we're going to be using when he starts to be presented with stimuli. But I want you to actually start to move that into your backyard a little bit. And that's why I'm giving that to you right now. So for the next, let's say, 2 or 3 days, I want you to practice that recall, if you can, 6 times inside your house each day. Okay, and it can be 3 times in a row, take a break, a little break, and then do another 3 times. It can be something like that. Or if he's got the energy and he's not escalating, you can do all 6 in a row. That's fine as well. But get lots of practice inside the house. And then when that's easy for him, you find that you're saying his name and he's automatically starting to turn with you and look for the treat. Then I want you to start to do that, just opening the your back door, walking towards your back door, allow him to look, call, and move away, toss a treat. And slowly bring that into the backyard so that he is able to respond when there's stuff happening, when there's external stimuli. Okay, and that's going to be the first external stimuli to introduce him to, because he's already familiar with it. Okay, so it's the backyard, it's snow, it's the sound of other people and dogs outside. But that's where we're going to start. And it's just simple. So if you're able to get out into your backyard and do it, wonderful. But if it means just practicing by letting him sniff the outdoors and then come back into your house and finish the recall, that's where I would start.
Okay. And so in the video, yeah, if this is him and this is me, then I'm going like this. I'm around, bringing him around with me.
You are. So do that again for me with your pens.
Yeah. So, well, I'll go on the side here.
Okay.
So yeah, if this is JP, this is Toto. And then, so he's on my left. I'm going to go around him and bring him like that.
Okay. So not around.
Okay.
He's going to end up on the other side. So he's going to go from left to right.
In this method, he's going to go
in
from
this method. So
okay.
He's going to start on your left-hand side. He's going to end on your right-hand side.
Okay. And the video you'll send.
Yes.
See clear. Okay.
You'll see. Yeah, you'll be able to watch me do it again over and over. And so I'm really glad you did that because that's exactly why I said don't overthink it, because I see everybody do that. They're trying to keep their dog on the same side because we tend to be focused where we are, as a general rule, taught to have our dog on the left-hand side and you train on one side. Truthfully, dogs can learn how to walk on left or right side. The key point that we need to teach our dogs is not to walk in front of us, not to cross in front of us or behind us. So they're not going to trip us up, but they should be able to walk left or right. And for these purposes, it really doesn't matter where he is as long as he is with you. Make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
So don't worry about where he lands. Okay, so don't try to be around him. Just turn and walk. And you're essentially cutting him off. Think about that. You're cutting him off from turning. If you spend too much time trying to be on his other side with a reactive dog, he's just gonna cut you off and go back to lunging again. So you need to just move quickly, turn and walk, and you're gonna find he'll end up on your right, and that's okay.
But the important thing is that I turn towards him.
That's right. You got
it. Not. So we did use a method. It's called A to B, and that's what Absolute Dogs does, and that's where this I showed you, that's what we do. We slide our hand down, turn him, yes, throw treat. So yours is a little
Little,
different, but it's still the same idea
yep.
of
Is,
how to
does
do it.
that work for you? Does that work smoothly for you?
Um, Sometimes yes and no. So that's why it's not like
Okay.
it's all right down pat, that's what we do. No.
Okay.
So that's why this
Okay.
could just as well work.
Okay, yeah. So just give it a try. You might find allowing him to be on the other side of you feels smoother. I definitely do feel it smoother. It's faster, and it's more. It's less about about him having to be in a certain place. It's more about him just disregarding his stimuli. Forget about it. Who cares? Better things are over here. Who cares about your stimuli? That's the key point here. Once we can get him to not be so concerned about his stimuli, you can perfect and get him doing exactly whatever you want, wherever you want it. He's a German Shepherd, and he's craving to learn. So I wouldn't worry about those details for now.
Okay, that's fine. It's just more breaking that connection and then getting him out of the situation.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And the other thing that you can do to start to use your extra stimuli is the touch. As soon as you feel like purpose and force, so he's purposely like touching and you know that he's got it, I would also do that. Open the back door, so allow him to hear, smell, see his external environment, and just practice touch and toss a treat. Tossing is really good, even for rewards. So you don't always have to mouth feed him the reward. It can be tossed on the ground. And in fact, I will often do that on purpose, especially with an anxious dog, because I want his body to remain fluid. I want his muscles to be warm. And so I like the dog to, and I want him to feel playful. Feel playful. Yeah. This is fun. It's a game. It's not serious. None of this should feel serious to either of you. I know that it does, because it's it is serious, but try to make it fun and playful, because the lighter you feel, the lighter it is for him as well. He's a German Shepherd. He is going to respond to your mood like a mirror. It sucks sometimes, but that's what they're like. Like a lab, completely different story. Yeah. Labs don't care as much. They're just happy about life in general. Of course, I'm generalizing. But a German Shepherd, life is, unfortunately, it's designed to be serious for them. And so that's kind of how they're hardwired. But they need to have fun. They need to be playful. That's really important for him. So, and I want him to feel that with you. That's the more connected he is with you, and that's why I do want you training with him, because the more connected he is with you, the easier it's going to be for him to choose you over his environment. The easier it's going to be for him to choose to sit for you rather than try to bite you in the face, right? Exactly. Or even not sit, just touch or whatever. He wants to choose something other than jumping on you. And so he needs to have that connection with you. Otherwise, it is really purely frustration. We do find a lot of excess biting, hand grabbing. I don't know if you have that happening at all, but hand grabbing and just that getting high and using the mouth a lot can often be, especially when it's directed towards the owner. I often find that the dog is craving something from you and he's not getting it. And so he's trying to get it, but he's on overdrive. Yeah. And so and like, again, his mouth, his nose, they're like his hands. Those are his hands. And so it's like that anxious child who's looking for you in the grocery store and finally finds you and grabs you. It's kind of, that's what's happening. He's anxious. He needs something from you. He's grabbing it from you. So now we need to make that a little bit more organized in small chunks so he can get that from you, and at the same time learning skills that he can use when he's feeling overwhelmed.
So when he's in the backyard and jumping, and sometimes he'll just go number 2 and then he'll just start jumping, and that's when he's biting and nipping and everything, right? In those situations, what do we do? Because now it's to the point, yes, I'll bring him down and I'll hold him and then I'll pet him and kind of talk to him, try and bring him down. You have to hold him for a minute, and then sometimes when you let go, he'll start up again. Sometimes he'll be okay, but and then after, when it's, constant and he's growling and biting and stuff, that's when I just try and yank it, because I'm like, this is enough. Like, you're knocking me over. My ribs have come out, like, our backs are messed up. Like, it's bad now.
Okay.
So what do we do in those situations?
Okay. And sorry, does he have anything on him, like a leash or a short, anything that you can?
We use a cage muzzle, again, the Baskerville kind, and so it attaches here. So we just have the leash here, and then again we leave it loose, but then gently we move it when we need him to go left or right, or he's going into the bush. Okay, we'll move it back, and then just sometimes we'll be walking, and then he'll just turn, and then he'll just start and jumping, right?
Okay. Okay. Um, can you sense that he's going to do it, or it just happens sometimes?
Sometimes we do sense. Yep. Sometimes we know. But then there have been other times where it's just seemingly we'll be walking, and then and I know they say there's always signs, and I agree. And, not 90% of the time we can read it, but then there are those times where I looked away for a second once, and then next I feel him right there, and he's pushing me over. Right. And it's like, there's no way I could have seen that.
Okay. Okay. In those instances, the best thing that you can do is use your leash. So as soon as you can lower any part of that leash and get your foot on it, I'm going to use my foot to ground him.
Yep.
And as soon as I get a slightest bit of calm, I would move into and I don't mean that he has to lie down and calm down, because that's not going to happen. But I just mean the second that he kind of goes, huh, he'll probably have that split second of, huh, what just happened? Yeah. And at that very second, I would kick into a find it. I don't want you to do that all the time, because I don't want him to start to wait for the find it. But right now, when he's in that mode, his brain is so high that it's hard to reinforce that. So get him down, and as soon as he gives you that moment, I want to move into a find it or something else that he can do. Because if we keep the restriction until he gives up, it may never happen. And if it does happen, you're going to let your foot off, and he's going to lash out again, because that was just, what are you talking about? Calm down right now.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to move. We need to get him doing something else. As soon as you see the slightest indication that his brain is taking a break, move into that, find it, and try to move again. As you try to move, so you're going to play around with how to hold your leash so that it's easy to do that, or easier to do that, easier to get your foot on it. Try to play around with that. And you might even play around with that in the house while you're doing your umbilical cord. Don't stand on it unless you're going to put food in his mouth for practice. But practice how to hold the leash so that you feel fairly confident that you can get your foot on it if you need to. Okay, because you'll glide your foot up. So get your foot on wherever you can, and then you're going to glide your foot towards him. And again, it's not for a correction, so it's not a harsh, quick movement. It's really just to protect yourself and to say, hey, this isn't working. Cut it out. But it's not for anything else. When his brain is in that place, if we add anything that is overwhelming or painful, it's going to escalate him. So we definitely don't want that, but we need to interrupt it. Yeah. And with the basket muzzle, at least he can't bite your legs. So that's what I would be doing as soon as I can. And then saying the word basket muzzle also reminds me that find it's not going to be easy. You might try. How is he with things coming towards him?
What do you mean?
Like items, like if you had something in your hand, like the remote or something, and you're walking towards him, is that something that's worrisome for him?
I think it's okay. There's nothing that jogs my memory that makes me think it's a scary thing.
Because I try is actually a squeeze bottle for rewarding on walks through his basket muzzle. Because or outside. Squeeze muzzle getting him prepared for outside, but also for those moments. And you can get something at the dollar store, even Dollarama, I've found them. So basically, or you can even just get like those baby food pouches, something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
For that outside, I would dilute a little bit of peanut butter or banana or something like that I could squish out of it. And the reason why I like to use things like that is, one, with a basket muzzle, it's one of the easiest ways to get quick food in your dog's mouth. And also, two, the nice thing about using something a little bit more sticky is that it does cause more salivation. And the more salivation it causes, the faster it's changing brain chemistry. And we need to change his brain chemistry. Food definitely is an aid in that. And that's a scientific biological fact. So we want to use food. So I would actually, I would go to Dollarama or wherever, just find yourself a little squeeze bottle, or you can even just, like I said, pick up one of those baby food packet pouches, just to give it a try. And just practice getting him to come towards it and squish a little bit so that he can get, once he's comfortable with it, that's what I would probably use with him.
Okay, so
I think that'll be easier.
Pouch, and then so when he stops that, then I squeeze some of it into his mouth.
That's right, exactly. I think that's probably going to be the easiest for you, and it's a starter. Okay, we're going to grow with that, but it's a starter. We need to get something going.
Yeah.
So as soon as he realizes that he even lets go of the behavior for half a second, he gets rewarded for that. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's just for now, not forever.
Yeah.
And as soon as he's comfortable with the recall, practice the recall. See if you can snap him out of it just by calling his name and moving. You might find that he snaps out of it because he's been practicing in the house all week. And so now he's outside, something overstimulates him, and you just call his name and start moving. He might actually just go, oh, right, I remember this, and snap out of it. And that would be ideal if he could do that. Because now he's actually physically thinking about a better behavior before he's rewarded, and reinforces the behavior. Rather than just subduing and preventing an escalation, it's actually rewarding the behavior. So that's ideal. But in some situations, that's not going to work. And that's okay. Just as soon as he gives you that split second of what's going on here, put that in his mouth. Squeeze it in his mouth.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've dealt with dogs like this before.
100%.
So, okay.
Lots.
Yes. And I know you have, we can modify this. Like, this is not going to be forever.
I definitely think I definitely think this can be modified. Do I think that we might need medication to get us there? Possibly, yeah.
Okay. And that
but that's not the end of the world.
Yeah. For him to be on medication, you mean?
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. Yeah. So just to give you a little bit of an idea of worst case scenario, we're talking about medication. Worst case scenario is going to be my own border collie pit bull. I don't have him anymore, but he is one of the dogs that taught me the most in my career. And he's actually who I learned bat for, believe it or not. I learned bat for him. I taught myself that because at that time, Grisha had only put out one online workshop, an hour-long workshop that I learned it. And I just was like, I am desperate. So I started to put it into practice. And then I actually learned with Grisha Stewart. I took a course with her in person. And with him, he was reactive to the point where I had to basket muzzle him as well because he was biting me. He actually put holes in my leg. So a redirective aggression. His separation anxiety was so bad that he destroyed my house, but it wasn't just my house. He actually was destroying himself. Like, I was coming home to pools of blood. He was chewing on his paws. Like, he had an extra dew paw. He almost removed the dew paw himself because he tended to focus on that, I guess, just because it was stuff. I don't know. But anyways, that's how bad he was. I put him on medication for about a year and it was the last like 4 months. So year he was on it, and then it took me about 4 months to slowly wean him off because I was a little bit nervous. But he ended up fine. I was able, with or without medication. In fact, I didn't have medication after a while, and he was fine. And we walking. I was 95% before I lost him, but in any case, he made huge strides, and we did get off the medication. So that should give you a little bit idea, worst case scenario. But it was so worth it. And I achieved my goals, and I don't think I would have achieved them without meds. I wasn't able to balance his brain enough. Okay, but let's see. Let's give it a week, because you've got something that's helping his system a little bit. I'm going to learn a little bit more about this product because I don't know it. So I'm going to learn a little bit more about this product. But let's give this a week and see if you start to see some changes, because I suspect that if you don't need medication, you'll probably see some changes already this week just by starting to implement it a little bit more. So let's keep in touch, but just keep that medication back of your head as a possibility. And maybe we will, maybe we won't need it.
Yeah. Oh, and that would be something through the,
how it mixes with what's in the product that you're using right now is maybe even CBD oil. I've seen some really good, there's not a lot of science on it, unfortunately, which is why a lot of vets don't back it up. But I have seen several clients use it and be successful and notice a difference. So it's another option as well.
okay.
But I will do my homework because I don't want it to mix with anything that it shouldn't.
For sure. But if we do, eventually talk about going on medication stuff, that's through the vet that we would.
Yes.
And would that be anti-anxiety, or what would that?
It would be. So I'm thinking we're either going to use fluoxetine or Clomicalm, depending on. And I generally will reach out to your vet, let them know that I'm working with you.
Okay.
What my thoughts are and what my recommendation. I'm not a vet, so it's just a recommendation, and then the vet usually takes it from there.
Okay, I see.
Experience, sometimes they'll be like, yeah, well, sure, that sounds great to me. Or they might say otherwise.
Right.
But yeah, I generally will reach out to your vet if that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But exactly, we'll see what we can do. But I think that's exactly it. And from the previous trainer, from the previous owner, she said, yeah, I didn't do any training with him. She taught him at home how to sit and lie down, and then that was kind of it. So we're dealing with a 16-month, puppy, and who's never been trained really.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So.
For sure. Yeah. Never been trained. Very possible that we know there were things happening in his critical period that didn't help him. And we don't really know what happened in his fear periods either. So there's a lot of unknown, but that's okay. Well, we just move forward and go from there.
Okay. Okay. So what's the next step then?
So next step would be, so usually with a beginning protocol, I would suggest that we do 2 weeks, another meeting. However, I don't know that I want to wait that long. What we could do, because I also don't want to advance too fast either. So it's, that's that fine line. What I'm going to say is today is, what day is today? Today is Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday. Let's connect on the weekend, just via text, email, something like that. Give me an update of how things are going. I might give you a call just to get an update, and then we'll figure out whether we're going to meet again next week or the week after. Okay, but maximum 2 weeks, because within 2 weeks you definitely should start to see changes, improvements, and space for us to make things a little bit different if we're going in the right direction.
Okay. Okay, so otherwise it's Wednesday today, so we'll touch base this weekend. Just let you know, give you an update on how things are going, any modifications, and then otherwise we can tentatively plan to meet next week.
Correct.
Yeah, sometime next week. I agree. It's should be not fairly. He catches on pretty quickly, but again, I think the gaps were we were waiting a while between the trainer, but I don't think it was helpful. So
yeah, send me video as well. Like if you want to video your training, you want to video his find it even, because often that just gives me a few ideas too, that I can just give you a couple pointers. Even if we don't have a full meeting, I can give you a couple pointers on what I'm seeing.
oh, that's great.
Yeah, I want to be, with a dog like Toto, things can move very quickly or they can move slowly. So I want to just make sure I'm on top of it, that we don't take too long or that we don't move too fast. Just that fine balance.
Yeah, exactly. You nailed it. Exactly. Between overstimulation, but making sure he's getting enough. And as I said, 100%, we know he's not, but how do we approach it in a way that's sustainable and building him up rather than, again, bringing him 0 to 100 and then we can't do anything with him, right? So it's navigating that fine. It's a little dance, right? Navigating that.
Absolutely.
So I think these are good ways to kind of hopefully ease him into it, and without overstimulating and without getting him too excited very quickly.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Thank you so much, Jen. These are things that, again, are more concrete and again, give us something to work with rather than keep him in the kennel Like I felt awful. And again, we weren't doing that because that's not his breed or temperament either, and not what he's supposed to be doing.
You don't want to cause more frustration.
No, absolutely not. No, exactly. So he would never be barking and going crazy, like never any of that. But still, we didn't want to be doing that, and that's not how we see our dog, right? We did get a German Shepherd for a reason. We know they're powerful, intelligent, smart, but when it's coming to the point where my safety is I can't take the dog out now.
Right.
That's not having a pet, right? And and
I agree.
So that's what, anyways, we're trying to nip right now. So this is really helpful. How should I reach out to you this weekend to connect?
Text message is usually the best.
Okay.
So the cell phone number that you have, that would be Carlos's. So I'm going to give you mine. And if you can send me a quick text as well, then I'm going to put you in my contacts.
Yeah.
So it's 289
242 77 67. Okay, so I'll send you a text. My name's Jacqueline, but I go by JP.
Okay.
So that's probably on Instagram, the JP who sent you the videos, that's me, and Michael's my husband. Okay. Jacqueline's my legal formal name, but anyways, I'll send you a message, and and then otherwise I'll let you know how it goes this weekend, and then but it's so great to, again, connect with you. Thank you so much. I do a lot of research, and as you can see, I'm kind of a bit anal sometimes, but it's just, I'm trying to, do the best we can. So we did live research and we wanted to do positive based methods and not, what people say on the street of, no, use, the e-collar or the prong collar and he's a German Shepherd and stuff. Right. So we're getting a live lashback because of that. And so this is kind of our last attempt because we don't know what else to do. Right. So
my comment on that is he's a German Shepherd. You put a collar on him that causes pain, you're going to guaranteed damage your relationship with him. Don't do it. You don't need that. When we properly understand our dog and we provide them with their needs in a way that makes sense to them and to us, it does come together. We don't need harsh methods.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you that. Been doing this for a long time. I did actually originally start by using a choke chain, and I hated it. I hated it, and I got out of it really fast because it really wasn't what I was looking for. I was getting results, but not the results. Like I didn't have a happy dog. And that's not what I want. I want a happy dog that is happy to be with me, happy to do the things that I want them to do. And it's really hard to accomplish that when the pain is coming from you. So we don't
Yeah,
want that.
no, I agree. And that's why we've been told many times and, you know, to put it on, and we just thought, no, we can't. But again, it's, so we're doing this, and I'm happy with this. This is concrete things and great. But yeah, we are getting that pushback from people who are well-intentioned, but we're
Sure.
not, we would have already gone down that route if we were going to do it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
this is great. And we're really happy to be working with you guys, and we're looking forward to connecting and hopefully, you know, seeing as things progress.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay, well, we'll keep you updated, Jen.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, thanks so
Okay.
much. We'll talk
You're
to
welcome.
you. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. That's not even pepper.